From the time I was born, got some love for the blues. Really filled my soul, no matter how it was used. Garden style's got the blues. When we come right back. I was born in Mississippi and moved to Tennessee. Spent a lot of time in Arkansas, where I'm from, y'all. I'm from Mississippi, Arkansas. Yeah, we have a lot of fun. Come on. Go. Music is part of the heritage. Blues music, it comes from hard times, yeah, and you know, and they sing about it. So they started out with an old abandoned cotton houses. They started hanging around, telling their stories and singing their songs and drinking their moonshine. Boom, 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 boom. Ha, 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 ha. Boom, 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 boom.
Helena really steps into the forefront as one of the earliest places to hear blues regularly on the radio. Sonny Boy Williamson had gotten just a taste of radio when he visited up into Illinois. He came back and he saw that Helena was creating its first radio station.
I see.
And he asked to be on the air.
In my younger days, I wished I know then like I know now.
Pass the biscuits, cause it's King Biscuit time on KFFA radio.
In my
When you're speaking blues, a lot of people don't even know what blues is. It pertains to a lot of things. The old saying is you gotta live it before you play it. If you haven't lived it, you haven't played it. It's about frustrations.
Boom, 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 boom. It comes from stress, sharecropping, slavery. Hard times, yeah. And you know, music was part of the soul, come from the field, and you know.
One person that you could name who inspired you.
Jimmy Reed.
Jimmy Reed. Why?
Because I'm a sucker for a smile. I'm not like Jimmy Reed, I play the blues, you name him, I play him. But I liked him because he was fun and he didn't really care, he wasn't serious, you know. Well, when it rained down south, y'all, them old back roads become slippery. Well, you see, I've got the blues, and I'm trying to kick the blues. Thank you very much.
After the break, my favorite color in a container.
There's no color I like better than blue, and I think Alan would agree with me.
You know, there's just something about the color blue that's so soothing and tranquil. I love it in just about any form you see it. A painted wall, fabrics, decorative arts of all kinds, and certainly in flowers. Just take a look at this one. This is a gorgeous little Laguna Sky Blue lobelia, which I think comes as close to sky blue as you can possibly get. Blue's a tricky color. What we find is that most blue flowers tend to lean a little bit toward the purple, as you can see here, but they play well together. This is a beautiful little agastache, funny name, but this one's called Color Spire's Steel Blue, and you can see the little flowers blend beautifully with this lobelia. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to create a container full of these blue colored plants, or bluish colored plants. And for contrast, here's a tip for you. To make it really pop, I love to use sort of a contrasting color container. Like in this case, I'm going to use one of these old terracotta containers. And you can also accent blue with a contrasting color like chartreuse. That's why I love this sweet Caroline sweet potato vine, or this little coleus called alligator tears. What I'm going to do here is fill this container up with a good soil. It's blended for container gardening. Take some of these taller plants for the middle. You have to think about where you're going to place the container. This one's gonna have a back on it. So toward the middle back, I'm gonna put my taller containers. I'm using the Agastaki here. And these are considered annuals, but I've actually had them come back in the garden, which would make them perennial. I'm gonna use 3 of them, and that gives me some height. Then for all that contrast that I talked about, I want to use some of these little coleus here, right in front of the alligator tears. I'll use 2 plants of this. Doesn't take long to put a container together. All right, there we go. So these are going to grow up and fill in. And then to cascade across the front, I'm going to plant this sweet potato vine called Sweet Caroline. One on this side here. I'm gonna put one over here on this side as well. What's really great about this particular variety is it doesn't run all over the place. It really has a limited amount of growth on it, so it won't sprawl all over, which I really like. All right, now, so we have a foliage plant, a bloomer. Now we can add some of those bloomers across the front. I'm gonna start out with some of this verbena. This is such a great verbena. It's called Royal Chambray. I'm gonna have some of those in the front here, and some here as well. And then the little lobelias will be on either side here. Look at that blue. Looking great, isn't it? Then among these cascading and blooming plants, I think there needs to be a little contrast, and that's why I love this little fiber optic grass. You can see how it gets its name. It looks like the ends of fiber optic cable, but believe me, no current or light comes through these. And I'm going to tuck those right in here. Weep beautifully. I'll put one more over here on this side. So not only do we have this contrast of color, the blues and purples against the terracotta and the chartreuse, but also textural contrast with these beautiful grasses. So what's going to happen is this is going to grow up, fill in here, and this will make a great blooming container that'll take about 6 to 7 hours of sun every day, and it'll bloom right until the first frost. If you're into the color blue as much as I am, try your own container. Just follow this one. You'll love the contrast and you'll enjoy watching it all grow in together. A blue twist on a classic drink when we return.
So the best way to kick the blues, invite some friends, oh y'all, and put on some of these blueberry mojitos.
Welcome back. I want to show you how to make a delicious blue cocktail that you'll definitely want to share with your friends sometime. It's really easy to make. It's a blueberry mojito. And you start by making a simple syrup. Now this is a blueberry simple syrup, and all you need is a small saucepan, and in it you're going to combine 1 cup of sugar to 1 cup of water and 1/2 cup of fresh crushed blueberries. Then you want to cook this on medium heat for about 15 minutes, stirring occasionally. Then remove the blueberry skins using a slotted spoon and set the pan aside to cool. Okay, next what you want to do is muddle 7 fresh mint leaves. You know, you can grow mint in a container, you can have it out in your garden, but fresh is very important. So I'm just going to place these 7 leaves down in the bottom of this highball glass, and then I'm going to muddle the leaves. And if you don't have a muddler, you can use a fork. You just want to crush them all against the sides like this. This releases a lot of the aromatic oils in the leaves. It's going to really add a lot to this drink. Next, just add some ice. I'm going to fill the glass about halfway full with ice. There we go. And then I'm going to take 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, which is almost an entire lime. And I'm going to take 1.5 ounces of silver rum. This will definitely give it a little kick. And then 1.5 ounces of the blueberry simple syrup. And this will last in the refrigerator for a long time. There's that. Look at that color, isn't that great? And then I'm going to add 1 ounce of your favorite fizzy water. Stir it all together. And then garnish it with just a little more mint. Garnish with a few fresh blueberries. And you've got a fun twist on a traditional drink. Really great. Give it a try. Coming up, a little pizza that's big on the blues.
Now, if you want to try some food that's really got the blues, try this recipe.
These blueberries are so delicious. Because you know, when we talk about blueberries, we tend to think of desserts or drinks, something sweet. What I'd like to do is share with you a recipe that takes blueberries over to the savory side. This recipe comes from a friend of mine. Her name's Kathy. She's called the Brooklyn Ragazza, and it's just marvelous. They're really great, and what we're going to do is we're going to make these little pizzettes. And you start by taking some just pizza dough. You can get it from your local pizzeria, or you can make it yourself. And what you want to do is you want to create these little, well, roughly 5-inch rounds. Now, on these little pizzettes, what we're going to do is we're going to use a sauce, and it's very simple to make. It's just taking a 1/2 cup of gorgonzola cheese and a 1/2 cup of cream, and you want to mix that together on medium heat until it's creamy and blends completely together like this. And you just want to take this yummy sauce and you want to distribute it equally on each one of these little pizzettes. You can see here. Now this theme is decidedly blue. You can see I used a form of blue cheese in the way of the gorgonzola. We're also going to use those blueberries in just a moment. All right, so I've got this all spread around, and now we're not going to stop with the cheese. We're going to keep on moving along. We're going to go for some mozzarella. What I have here is a cup of shredded mozzarella. So we're going to put that on each one of these. I'm being generous with it. Next, we're going to take some gorgonzola, and there's a 1/4 cup of it here. I'm just going to spread that out evenly across these 5. All right, now for some prosciutto. I'm going to add about a 1/4 pound of prosciutto on each one of them. It's really quite beautiful. And loaded, I'm saying loaded with flavor. There we go with that. Now, for the finishing touch, the last blue, which would be these little pickled blueberries. What I have is a cup of them, and I just want to spread them out on top, a few blueberries like this on each one. And they're not as sweet as you think. The pickling makes them kind of tart, so they're a nice contrast to these other flavors. Just want to get them all worked in here. And just like the blueberry itself, they will be little flavor bursts. Very good. Okay, now it's time to pop them in the oven. What I like to do is then just press them down to make sure the blueberries are committed to this great tasting dish. Now place the little pizzettes, parchment paper and all, onto the cookie sheet on the lowest rack in the oven that I've preheated at 500 degrees, and you're only going to bake these for about 8 minutes. These are beautiful. They smell divine. All right, now what we're going to do is we're just going to top them off with a little something from the garden, of course, some arugula. All right, just a little bit of arugula. And then I'm going to take some Parmesan Reggiano and sprinkle that on top like that. And they're ready to serve. And of course, they're the best when they're served hot. Look at that. Just give these little babies a try. You're gonna love them. There's more garden style just after the break. Hey, the blues may have originated and grown up in the South, but it's something you can apply to your own home. Whether it's the soulful sound or the color, integrate it. For Garden Style, I'm Alan Smith.
I'm just a poor broke boy down in northern Mississippi. I'm just a poor broke boy down in northern Mississippi. Well, when it rains down south, y'all, them old back roads get kind of slippy. Well, you see, I've got the blues, and I'm trying to kick the blues. Best way to kick the blues is invite some friends over and make up some of these blueberry mojitos right away. Best way to kick the blues is to invite some friends over, put on some good music, and make up some of these blueberry mojitos. I'm gonna have to try me one of those mojitos.